Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Up now, we have the American Kid Consumer. What companies should know about U.S. toy consumers and kids' routines and media lives. Our presenter this morning is Philippe Guinaudeau. Philippe?
Thanks very much, Anne. Good morning, everybody. My name is Philippe. Unfortunately, due to COVID, Marinette has to be excused. I apologize, but we work 6,000 kilometers away, so I'm not going to convey the COVID to you today. Very broad topic, and I would like just to say that if I do a good job at the end of this presentation, this 40 minutes presentation, you should see exactly what's the great perspective on the toy market it is. So I named it Playvolution. It's a cosmic shift in the toy industry. I mean, if you really see all the components going all together, and yes, we're going to talk a lot about digital lives, we're going to talk about metaverse, we're going to talk many, many things, but it's a great opportunity for the toy market. Very briefly, what we do market research, we do multi-client insights, so what we name syndicated research. Syndicated research, everybody gets the same results. The analysis is different from one client to another client, depending on where they sit on the market. We do custom research and we do consulting. And on the client, the multi-client services, what we do is we've got an omnibus named Kidibus. We've got the kid consumer, which is what I'm going to highlight today, but it's a massive piece of research. So obviously, licensing the toy members have access to the full reports. It's large reports, but it talks about media lives, kids and digital, daily lives, pen portraits, shopping, pocket money, collections, superheroes, I mean, you name it. Then we've got reports about the most favorite entertainment brands to the kids. Entertainment, superheroes, social influencers, esports, many, many other categories like fashion and so on. Sorry. And then we've got the brand trend suites, where we track the most popular entertainment brands, the most popular show and series. Recently, we launched most popular food and drinks brands. And we're going to introduce on the 25th of October, License Selector, which is the merge between generative artificial intelligence, our expertise, which I believe is an expertise, and our proprietary database. So it's only working on our data. It's basically like a little me that you prompt on a chat GPT. So Philippe, can you tell me, I don't know, what the kids have done in the past couple of years? That's basically what it's going to give you. Today, the results I'm going to present, 2,600 respondents, 3 to 6, 7 to 9, 10 to 14, 15 to 18. We also had a subsample, additional sample, 0 to 2 years old. So just so you know, I mean, the data is based on 2,600 respondents. Without further ado, let's start with the data. And I've got a good surprise for you. I'm a typical market researcher, which means that normally, I mean, you shouldn't be able to read all the slides at the time I'm going to speak. So unfortunately for you, I'm going to highlight the ideas, and that's the good news. But normally, I mean, you shouldn't be able to see all the data. First, we are going to talk about digital lives. I mean, it's the topic at the moment, digital lives. In fact, I mean, when you think about digital lives and how the lives of the kids have been organized in the recent years, you just have to first to imagine the reason why we talk about digital lives. And it's not because we want to say, oh, toys is old-fashioned and it's not about digital and so on. The main competitor of the toy market is the amount of time that the kids are going to do when they play. If the parents see their kids playing, then at the end of the day, they will want to purchase toys. So if the kids are not on TV, or if the kids are not on their smartphones, or their tablets and so on, and they are playing with toys, most of the time, because a large portion of the toy market is made of non-battery operated products or non-electronic toys, when the parents will see their kids playing with toys, then they will purchase toys. So the number one competitor of the toy market is the amount of time they are going to spend on the toy market. The more they spend, the more parents will purchase. That's the reason why we talk about the digital lives. So first, an American kid has about 14 hours a day awake. It's pretty much the same. They sleep a little bit less than a few years ago, but it's pretty much 14 hours a day. And when you look at the amount of time they dedicate to digital entertainment, that's 40%. It's an increase in past 3 years. So that's quite a lot. Playing has decreased 9 to 7%. It's not that much. In fact, I mean, we'll see where it has decreased because it has increased in some of the demographics. And another interesting fact is about the schooling, where extracurricular activities and lessons and homeworks has also increased a little bit. But pretty much, I mean, it's a full day of activities, of 14 hours of activities. When you look at the amount of time they spend on digital versus toys, bottom line is the following. They spend more and more time on their smartphones. So let me recompose that. 10 years ago, they were spending a lot of time on television, linear television. Then they spent time on replay television, also still linear, but replay television. Then they switched to streaming, Netflix, Hulu, and so on. And then came the COVID, and they increased their consumption of the streaming, which means that they skipped. Once they consumed everything, they skipped to another platform, and now they are switching more and more on their mobile phones. So it's basically the type of digital lives that they are doing. In terms of toys, in the US, on a given day, 60% of the American kids in 2014 were playing every single day. For an hour and 39 minutes. Now it's 43%, so it's a decline, but they still play about the same amount of time. So we've got less kids playing. That being said, there are more kids playing anyway. In terms of the way they consume the television, as I said, I mean, they move from linear TV to replay to streaming now to mobile platforms, and what they do on mobile platforms, which is also a little bit of streaming, including the YouTubes and Twitch and so on, but also not only because they are creating content on TikTok and so on. So it's less and less, you see, less television live, 32% in 2020, 23% watch TV live now. Among the kids. It's massive. It's a massive phenomenon, and what happens in the US also happens in many other countries around the world. So it's not only a US-centric type of issue. That's the type of slide that I was talking and I was mentioning. You can't read it. Basically, what they do with the mobile phones, they how can I say it nicely? They think they interact with their peers. It's subject to debate, but basically they chat with friends, they use social media, and obviously as they get older, they do it more, while when they are younger, they watch movies and videos, like you see at the very left of the slide, watch movies and videos, and obviously that's one of the main activities when they are young, and it declines. And then after they send SMS and call friends. Another activity is also that they play video games a lot on their mobile phones. And when you see basically the type of social networks, so social networks, not the apps per se, but social networks, YouTube is the #1 platform, but as they get older, I mean, it tends to decline, and you can see that the orange bar, which is TikTok, 14% for the 3 to 6, it's kind of obvious. It goes up to 23% when they are 10 to 14. So TikTok is one of those platforms that have gained a lot, but it's kind of passive anyway. And when we say about empowerment through creating content, yes, they create content, they create videos, but at the end of the day, I mean, they are massively about watching and exchanging. It's not the real exchange. It's really about watching, uploading videos, and that's it. So it's more sharing and trying to create a tribe around them more than that. Very briefly, impact of social influencers. Do you believe that social influencers influence purchases? Who believes that? Okay, good guess. Yes, it does. In 46% of the cases, what the social influencers has prescribed, and that's for the 10 to 18 years old, by the way, really to have the sense of insights, not for the kids, the young kids, but for the teenagers. In 46% of the cases, they followed the recommendation, and in 91% of the case, they were extremely satisfied, obviously. And yes, I followed, and so... So, another important aspect of kids' media consumption is basically the role of the parental involvement. As you know, I mean, parents, because of the digital lives, they spend a lot of time trying to control and regulate and give some rules about the way kids use the digital environment. And actually, I mean, that's a good opportunity for the toy market because what's applied on the digital lives can be applied in some ways or used to the benefits of the toy market. So that's the reason why, I mean, it's important to understand those rules. Basically, I mean, 31% for the very young kids to 6%, they are not using any social media. So there are rules about restricting social media. There are only 9% of the kids and the parents, by the way, that don't have any rule when it comes to digital media. So there are rules. The kids know those rules. Until the age of 15, you've got not paying for anything or spending, which, by the way, I'm going to come back on that on the metaverse section. Not paying for anything or spending money on the internet, not messaging people that they don't know, reviewing their internet search on a regular basis just to make sure that what they do is safe. So that they are the rules up to 15 years old. And then after 15 years old, there are less rules. Obviously, checking the total amount of screen time, it's gone. They don't check anymore amount of screen time for particular devices, so split by different devices. Then after the kids' TV channel and the things that they watch on YouTube, most of the time these rules don't apply. So you've got the rules for the very young ones, where the parents are very, very restrictive and look at what the kids are doing. And there are the rules after 15 years old, or basically when they become teenagers, where there are less and less rules. So in the US, 41% of the parents don't want their kids to pay or to purchase, to make a purchase action on the digital media, medias or applications. I can tell you that not 41% of the kids don't purchase. There are more than 41% or actually 59% of the kids purchasing on the internet, on the apps. But at least, I mean, the parents tend to believe that basically these rules are good for them. Virtual reality. We had a very interesting presentation before about the metaverse. So I'm going to talk also about the metaverse. I love the metaverse, by the way. And I agree with David Kleeman when he said that the metaverse is no longer called the metaverse. I mean, that's because of Mark. Mark invested billions of dollars in metaverse and didn't deliver basically what the metaverse is. At the end of the day, I mean, it's already there. Nobody knows it, but it's already there. And just so you know, so that way everybody's on the same page, we, small company, created a metaverse room where I invited clients to a presentation. We're no longer going to do that, by the way, because it was like a Galleria with 30 paints. That was 30 slides of a presentation. Slide number 1, 2, 3, up to the conclusion and the recommendations. We got the people in the room, and they all went to the slide number 30. While I was sitting in front of my slide number 1, okay, today I'm going to talk about that. So, which, by the way, is a lesson. On the metaverse, don't do exactly the same as the real life. It's a different life. So, there's interest. in the metaverse. For the moment, the interest is about playing games, and not only the metaverse, by the way, it's real virtual reality in general for the moment. It's about playing games, watching videos, movies, exploring your environment, connecting to friends. Obviously, they want to learn things. But at the end of the day, I mean, the metaverse or the virtual reality, they are really into that. And you have to imagine, and they are extremely satisfied with that. Totally satisfied, 57%, very 30 and 27 for satisfied. So they are satisfied with the current version, but it can be better. They can do better. In fact, and when you think about the metaverse, it's like an additional life close to the real life. It's basically a second life. So the potential for the companies, massive. You can play with toys, develop with toys. You can develop and leverage the engagement towards your brand. You can create and reinforce the fandom on your brands. So it's massive, and it gets interesting for the kids. 80% of the American kids have heard about the metaverse. Okay, half of those, they know what the metaverse is, and they have a good idea of what it is. And half of those, they have absolutely no clue. They heard about that word, but they don't know what it is. But they, at the end of the day, they are very, very much interested in that real world. And the metaverse is existing for a reason that first, they are going on Roblox. They are playing with Minecraft. They are playing with Fortnite. They are going to concerts as well. They are purchasing. Obviously, they go on Twitch and so on. They purchase skins. They spend money using credit cards, sometimes using NFTs and so on. So at the end of the day, I mean, it's really there. They are doing it. The only issue is that first there's a bad press, or there has been a bad press at the beginning of the year because of the meta situation. Second, there has been also some joy and interest in the artificial intelligence developments, which has shifted a little bit because it seemed that the metaverse was not working that great, and in the artificial intelligence, because of ChatGPT, was going high. There has been a shift in interest, but the interest is still there among the kids. They are interested in going in those places. There are plenty of other issues on the metaverse that needs to be fixed. Once that will be fixed, it will be very easy for anybody to go there. First, you've got the interoperability between the different platforms. So that means that if you're developing something on Roblox, you can't develop necessarily with the same people. Something on Minecraft or Sandbox or any other type of platforms. So that's one of the first challenges. But the biggest challenge is for the people to know where to go. I mean, do you know where to go in the metaverse? I mean, I know how to go on a specific store. I go on Google, I type the name of the store, and poof, all of a sudden I've got the URL address. We don't know where to go, in which metaverse room, in order to go there. Once the kids know where to go, they will go, and that will be very easy. So that there are some of the challenges, and obviously there are some other ones, but about the metaverse, it's already there. So for me, on the metaverse, it's worth taking the risk to go there and start developing your operations there. First, it develops increased engagement because you can create proximity with your brands, proximity with your products. So definitely it creates a stronger emotional connection between the brands and the customers. So that's increased customer engagement. Obviously, there are new revenue streams. You access to new markets, because today, I mean, you're accessing the US, but tomorrow with the metaverse, I mean, you can access the rest of the world, at least English-speaking in first place, and because of the artificial intelligence chatbots that you will implement in your metaverse, you will do it in French, or you will do it in Chinese, or whatever. You can access, that's my part, to extremely interesting behavioral information. It's a huge amount of information, so you better understand what your fans, what the kids loving your toys, what the people loving your brands are doing, what they are doing, how they do it, And so you can leverage that in order to switch some of the supporters, you know, the ones that they know and they like your brands, but they don't necessarily love it. You can switch them into supporters, into fans, so they know and they love your brands. Because of, because of all this information, you can do it. And then after you, as early adopters, you will have a competitive advantage because all that learnings will be in your memory and you will be the ones knowing and mastering that while the competition will try to chase you after that. So it's worth taking the risk. And it's not a big investment. We invested in the metaverse room. I think that, if I well remember, that's something about $100 for the metaverse room. Then I lost all my clients in my presentation room. Okay, not good, but $100. Playing. A short section about playing, because obviously we are on the toy market, so it's all about playing. In terms of the trends, you can see that the kids 3 to 6, they are playing more and more, which is good. They are more going towards the toys, but it's the other categories that are declining, especially the 10 to 14. It's nothing new. I mean, it's a movement that's already been existing, so it's just a reinforcement as the kids get older, younger, kagoi phenomenon. So it's basically about that. When you look at the 3 to 6 years old, in the US, 67% play on a daily basis, and they spend about 2 hours per day. So it's a long amount of time that they dedicate to that. The 7 to 9 years old, it's a little bit less time, 1.3 hours, or 1 hour and 20 minutes. And for 57% of those, 57 is a good number, very good number. And then after 10 to 14, tend to decline a little bit. The reason for liking the toys, it's all about basically playing with the toys anywhere. They can create the universe and they can play with friends. They can socialize. So all the same values that we always put in front on the toy market remain exactly the same. It's unchanged. It's basically, I mean, if you put them with a toy and they spend hours recreating a world, imagining, inventing, creating stories, just projecting themselves on their worlds, that's a winning toy. That's a winning set of toys. And so if you can do that, that's basically exactly what the reason why they love it. And because they do that, then after they share with their friends or brothers and sisters, and so it's basically socializing exactly on the same values. So it's the same reason for liking the toys and games. Okay, a little bit of money. We have to. Shopping. In terms of Christmas presents, the good news is that toys are becoming more and more predominant in the holiday gifting season. When you look at the number of gifts, in average, they move from 5 to 7 presents under the tree, which is tree or Hanukkah, Saint Nicholas, you name it. So it's a good news. And when you look at the share of toys, 45 to 47%, I mean, it has increased. The reason why you see the digital and video games and category going down is because of the equipment that they got following the COVID. There had been a spike, and so now there's no new equipment to invest in for the moment, and so that's the reason why there's a micro decrease on the short run. Unfortunately, the parents have noticed. It's not a secret anymore. Prices have risen just a little bit. We call that inflation, but at the end of the day, because of that, the parents are adjusting their behaviors. They still want to offer presents and toys, namely to their kids under the tree. They want them to be happy. They want them to have those products. They are not shy of spending a huge amount of money on one toy or several toys, but they are more cautious about the prices. They will search for discounts and promotions. They will use the internet in order to go around and shop around and have the better deals. And if they have to cut one toy, and a small toy or small price toys, they will do it. But at the end of the day, and there are still a market for the over $100 toys. They still want to please their kids, so it's not a big deal there. But they have noticed the prices, and so they have shifted their way basically to purchase toys. And so they are using online retailers. They are shopping for the best price, and they are buying gifts as soon as they see them on offers because they don't want to miss the offers. So again, I mean, same behavior, same things, except that it gets organized. Before, I mean, it was just a little bit like the wind. They were doing it at the time. They were feeling it was the time to do it. Now, if there are some hot toys that they want for their kids, they do it right away. But they are extremely well informed, and they know where to go purchase it at the right price, and they won't pay more for that toy unless it's absolutely necessary. Like it's the only retailer and they have to do it because they missed the slot. Okay, again, an awful one. You see the number one item is durable and long-lasting. The second one, easily fixable, repairable. And then after, transparent about their products, made with social responsibilities. They are more and more conscious of the time around. You know, they pay attention to sustainability, they pay attention to inclusivity, sharing. It's all about that. It's very important to the parents. Keep in mind, especially for the young kids, they are the generation that was born with mobile phones. And so now, transparency, authenticity, all these values, very important. And you can't lie. If you lie, then your brand is going to be destroyed. But importance of repairing, sustainability, making sure that you protect the environment, especially when the climate changes creates these floods that you had a couple of days ago. I mean, it's basically about that. They are very conscious about that. You don't. The best is you do it. You do sustainable products. You do sustainable packaging and so on and so on. But the minimum is to talk about that, and better is to talk and deliver. So. That's the best, but you need to talk. If you don't talk about that, then you're going to have minuses in the selection process of those toys. Interesting section, licensing. It's also, again, I mean, it's a very rich environment, and I try to cover all the sections. I try not to go too fast. But at the end of the day, I mean, this one is also crucial. First, because I mean, the kids, they love basically their entertainment characters, and they would be ready to spend and to have products with licensed product on it. So at the end of the day, I mean, if there are licensed characters on that, they would just love it. In general, in 52% of the cases, they would buy it anyway because the child is a fan. So the fact that the child is a fan of the characters, entertainment character, is one of the big winners in making a toy that has a character that the kid love it. So licensed products, very interesting, very important. And in the toy market, I mean, I believe that it's around the 30% of the toy market made of licensed products. So it's good. Okay. The bubble chart. Sorry about that. There were many important charts on that presentation, but if I only had to show you one slide, one chart, that would be the one. Let me explain how this reads. It's basically the split of the most favorite entertainment brands to the kids, 0 to 14 years old. At the bottom of the screen, you've got the 0 to 6 years old. At the top, you've got the 7 to 14. At the left, you've got the girls. At the right, you've got the boys. The size of the bubble indicates the number of mentions, so the percentage of the mentions, basically. And the position of the bubbles indicates the share of young boys, young girls, all boys, all girls, that the brand has in terms of favorites. So, like, for instance, if we say Netflix, which is this light blue bubble, no, Harry Potter. Harry Potter is slightly better. If we say Harry Potter, 50% of the people loving the brand would be girls, 50% would be boys. It would skew towards the 7 to 14, but you still have a proportion 0 to 6, slightly less. Does that make sense? Okay, so it's not about the names that you can see here. It's a little bit about the size of the bubbles. You see, they are not that different one from another. That's the first point. The second point is, if I would have shown, and I think I showed that type of slide a few years ago, you would have brands towards the left, girlish brands towards the right, boyish brands, little bit more, but there we've got a good proportion of brands for the young ones, and at the top, also brands for the older ones. There you can see that it's a little bit more packed. It's a little bit concentrated towards the center. And you have to imagine that a few years ago, I mean, it was really spread. Now it's less spread. What does that mean? It means that all the elements of inclusivity, age, gender, gender split and so on, all of that is represented in that slide. There are less and less specific gendered brands preferred by the girls or by the boys. It's more and more appreciated by more of the boys and the girls together. Good news, because if a brand is more appreciated by the boys and girls at the same time, that means that on the shelf space, the retailers, it's easy peasy. At the end of the day, they can have a shelf space for boys and girls with exactly the same line, and that's good, because at the end of the day, it makes more sales and it's easy product to sell. But the fact that every societal type of changes that we talk about, cross-gender, gender difference, inclusivity, equality, and so on, it's all represented in that. So all these values, sustainability, cross-gender, split, and so on, it's represented in the toy market now. Does it make sense? Okay, I will be on time. Okay, summary. Again, many different elements. Obviously, digital is a big component of the kids' life, and they are spending more and more time on their mobile phones. And the number one competitor of the toy market now is going to be the mobile phone. And don't think that the 3 to 6 years old, even the 0 to 2, don't play with mobile phones. They do a lot, and you would be just nuts watching a girl 1 year old just picking up the mobile phone of her mother and just watching Peppa Pig on the mobile phone. So at the end of the day, I mean, it's not because it's not dedicated to that specific age group that digital is not part of that. So the number one component, the number one competitor of the toy market today is the mobile phone. Don't make it a competitor. Use it. Connect the toys with the mobile phones, but at the end of the day, you have to take that into consideration. Create some content about your brands, 1 minute, 30 seconds, 1 minute, and so on, that will connect with the kids directly on the mobile phones. Shaping the preference, shaping the preference in the digital age. Because at the end of the day, they have high expectations about the content they consume. And I would say even more since the COVID. You know, COVID, I mean, you had the episodes, the content was spread, well organized and so on. And all of a sudden, the kids, they have plenty of time and they hit all the content they could. At the end, they end all the new content, then they switch to the old content or older content. So they discover new brands and new stuff. But now they have a level of expectations which is extremely high, and you need to bring them novelty and new things. So at the end of the day, I mean, it's what I'm talking about. And you still have to maintain appeal in a changing landscape, because at the end of the day, I mean, I try to highlight the digital lives, but I also try to highlight the fact that on the toy market and the traditional values that are making the toy market, there's a fantastic opportunity because it's a turmoil because of the digital landscape. And so toy manufacturers have a real opportunity to not only embrace the digital part and use the digital part for the toys, but also use the non-battery operated and so on. So they can basically develop toys that would fit in the non-digital world. So I've got 6 recommendations, and I'm done. First, I mean, you need to balancing, and I want to highlight, and that's my number 1 recommendation for that. You know, we talk about digital lives, we talk about the digital and so on, but balancing traditional values, you need to preserve space for the non-digital traditional toys with educational values nonetheless, because at the end of the day, it's also one of the most important values to the parents. Everything that is traditional, where the kids can project themselves, then create their worlds, try to create their stories, try to invent and discover themselves and go to really inside their head and try to project and create something. That's fundamental on the toy market, and it remains. And one day they will have a headset with a mobile phone in front of their eyes, and they will be on the metaverse, 2-year-old kids, and they will play on the metaverse. But still, when they take out the headset, they will still do exactly the same. Kids will remain the kids. So keep preserving the traditional type of toys, develop those toys, wood toys, plushes, dolls. They love it. They just love it. Educational focus and parental engagement. When I said about the rules that the parents have on the digital world, use those ones so you can put the toys in front of that, and by mirroring basically those rules, you can exactly benefit from what the parents are more conscious about. Parents are more and more controlling these type of things. And so if the toy market provides and delivers and says about that, it's going to be a win, basically, for the toy market. But okay, I couldn't do without the digital transformation, the diversification and inclusivity. Obviously, the sustainable practices and online retailing. And I mix those two ones together because obviously sustainable is sustainable and you need to have packaging and stuff like that. Okay, and the products themselves. But online retailing is also a good way where you can promote those values. And so for me, they can be linked together. And more importantly, adaptation to licensing and the community building. Just keep in mind, and that's one of the beauty of the licensing. The licensing is the link, the entertainment characters that you will put on your toys, is also the link with all the other categories. So let's say Peppa Pig, for instance, you've got a Peppa Pig toy, then after you've got a Peppa Pig box of cereals, then after you've got sheets in the bedroom and so on. It's the link. Use that link to the benefit of your products and make your products stand in terms of the qualities and in the values it promotes, including the education and so on. But because that will be the link, the character would be the link across all those categories, your products will take benefit of that, if that makes sense in the way I say it. Okay, and I've got 1 more minute. So I created a sentence. Okay, I have to say I cheat a little bit. I used ChatGPT as well to help me formulate exactly what I wanted. But basically embracing the digital age while you preserve the timeless magic of physical play, the future of toys markets lies at the intersection of innovation and tradition. And I truly believe that. It's always been the case. So it's no different now than it used to be when I was a kid, at the end of the day. As children's routine and media habits evolved, our challenge in the toy industry is not merely to keep pace, but to lead the way. We have to show, keep in mind, and those consumers, they are the first consumers. They will be consumers in 20 years. They won't be kids anymore, but they will still, maybe they will play, like, I don't know, an adult segment, for instance, but they will be the new consumers. And we are the ones basically making that. Offering experiences that captivate the young minds, inspire creativity, and foster connections in an increasingly connected world. And that's the reason why I named that Playvolution. Thank you very much.